Well, gone are the days of Linsanity. The fairy tale debut for Jeremy Lin as a New York Knick. But for those who doubted the NBA viability of Lin after forgetful stints with the Rockets and then the Lakers, in Charlotte, not only winning the hair game, but playoff games as well. Here's Rebecca Harlow with the Hornets super sub.
Charlotte looking for more. Lin accelerates to the hole. Moves it ahead for Lin. That's a three. Bottom. Jeremy Lin from long range.
Lin playing with such confidence. And right now playing as if he can't be stopped. Here comes Lin. He banks it in.
Watch Lin, after he makes this shot, banking it off the glass, when he turns back towards where his owner, Michael Jordan, remember Jordan doing that in that Portland game?
That was kind of angels in the outfield. It was a blessing from God. And that shot, when I let it go, I was like, yo, there's no chance this goes in. It went in, so thank God.
Jay Lin. Hey, way to be aggressive, boy.
We had Kemba Mike, which was fun.
I'm sure it was. He's awesome. He's hilarious.
He's so energetic and emotional out there. But it seems like you two have a good vibe. Tell me about sort of your relationship with him on the court.
I think we understand each other in terms of our stories. You know, we've talked about it. We've been overlooked in a lot of different ways. And, you know, even people think, you know, oh man, coming out of UConn, whatever, you know, he was so highly recruited, but actually he wasn't even UConn's like first option at first. And so there's a lot of different things in our stories that we feel like we can connect. And then off the court, we really get along. We'll hang out and do other things off the court, and then we just really root for each other. We play well with each other, and you know, I love watching him play and the energy he brings. He plays with his heart every night. I try to do the same thing.
It seems like you found a really good fit here. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I'm happy. I've had a lot of fun this season. Not just because we won more games than last season, but the vibe, the culture, the chemistry. I've never been on a team since my high school team that really has had this type of camaraderie. Guys 1 through 15. It's been a very, very fun season for me.
Well, Jeremy Lin's having fun. The team's having fun. We're having fun watching him. And Greg, it's interesting because here's a player who's been doubted his entire life, going back to not being recruited out of California, going to Harvard. But he has played
that was
on
a tough choice.
he has played on big stages in the NBA, in New York, Los Angeles. So this moment is not going to be too big for him.
No, you know, it's interesting. When I think of Jeremy Lin, I think back to one of my best friends and my former teammates, John Starks, because he was a guy that nobody thought had any chance of ever playing in the NBA except him. He's the only guy that believed it. Jeremy Lin believed he was an NBA player. And what he did was waited for the opportunity. When it presented itself, he put it in a stranglehold. And he's shown that. I mean, you could make the argument he's the best backup point guard in the NBA. I mean, he plays off the ball. They can play him with Kemba. You know, he's become a great decision maker, a really good passer, knocks down shots consistently. I mean, it's been fun to watch. You were talking, it's like a great American story, right? So. I mean, this guy has come from nowhere to really establish himself as an important cog on a very good team, and it's been fun to watch.
You know, when they signed Jeremy Lin, I thought, and I said this when they signed him, I thought he was their most important signing over the summer. Because as you said, Greg, he's been a guy who's been doubted, but he's always believed. But he's always had the game to back it up. You know, in high school, he was one of the top guards in California, okay? In college, he was one of the top guards in college. And then when he got to the NBA, you know, he's consistently been one of the top guards coming off the bench in the NBA. So his game gave him belief. You know, a lot of people believe that they can play and they really can't play. But your point to he and John Starks, they had game to back it up. And Jeremy has always had game to back up his beliefs, and that's what makes him so important and so good. So the big stage don't bother him because really he's been on the big stage a lot. People just haven't noticed that he was there.
Well, you remember those stretch of games when Linsanity was going on, et cetera, et cetera. Almost 15 points a game in 4 games off the bench in this series. So let's give some credit to a man who helped assemble this roster for Charlotte, really remake it. Your former rival, Michael Jordan.
No, I've said this about Jordan from day one. If given enough time, he will figure it out. And I remember listening to his mother. They were interviewing his mother, talking about Jordan, how he's failed and everything. And she said the same thing. She said, hey, when he first got into the NBA, it took him a couple of years to really get to the championship level. And I think in terms of ownership and management, it's taken him a couple of years, but I do look at this Charlotte team right now, and Jordan has figured it out. And when you give the great ones time, and he's won, in college, he's won in the NBA big time, one of the greatest to ever do it. When those guys get enough time to do it, they figure it out. And I look at this Charlotte team, and Jordan's fingerprints are all over it, and he's figured it out.
And give him credit for this, too, because a lot of times you become really good when you realize you don't know it all. And I think the fact that he brought Rich Cho in and has allowed him to not just be a yes man, not to just be someone that's going to basically validate what you say, but question it. No, I think maybe we should look at this, and this should be the philosophy, and this kind of player. Like, you have to have that kind of dialogue and that give and take. And that can be tough sometimes when you are as accomplished as Michael Jordan. Because how can anybody tell you anything about the game of basketball when you're considered the best that's ever done it? But that, I think, speaks volumes about Michael, the fact that he was willing to allow something like that to materialize, and now the Hornets are being rewarded.
Well, Michael's always been a good teammate, and this triumvirate of Cho and Jordan and now Steve Clifford is getting it done. Monumental game this evening, though. This is a hugely important game for the franchise.